What's up?
Hey, well, just to chime in for starters, I don't believe for a second Donald Trump wants to go to prison. It's a bluff. That's what he does his whole life. So,
I'm increasingly coming around to that.
Yeah.
The court, by the way, has adjourned. It's going to resume on Thursday at 9:30.
I saw that, yeah. I'm off to Armenia, Azerbaijan, and Georgia for 3 weeks, and we'll miss you while I'm gone. So make sure nothing too crazy happens. But,
I hope you make it through okay and bring back some wild stories for us, Brian.
I will. But I was calling because I heard the first talk of Trump on Raw's story about Trump. Oh, this person advising him or insiders advising him to take a plea deal, and that a plea deal is not going to get any better for him. And the plea deal would go something like he drops out of the race and agrees to sort of be a private citizen and not meddle with politics or whatever, and he stays out of prison. Now, I'd be very skeptical that something like that is ironclad, but let's, in a hypothetical world where something like that seemed ironclad and that he couldn't mess with it, would you take that offer if it were up to you? I'm really struggling in my head. I want him to be held accountable for his crimes against America, but also it's a pretty risky prospect. If he gets off, if he gets acquitted or more likely hung jury, then that makes him stronger. You know what I mean? Like, would you take it if it were up to you?
I don't know, Brian. I think that's more of a question for an insider who really knows how solid the cases are. Also, it would require some significant coordination because, he might go to jail down in Georgia with Fonnie Willis. He could go to jail in Florida with Judge Cannon. He could go to jail in New York State with this case. He could go to jail in federal court over the, Tanya Chutkan's court over the January 6th stuff. So I doubt that you could get all those prosecutors in one room and say, hey, let's cut a deal on behalf of Trump. And whether that would foreclose any other deals, I think it's unlikely. It would almost have to be that, Biden comes in and pardons him in exchange for something like Jerry Ford did. That pardon was conditional. It was based on the requirement that he resign from office.
So probably too much of a dream hypothetical to actually be something real. But I'm really just philosophically, I'm struggling with that in my head. Yeah. He needs to be held accountable.
No, I agree.
It's a big risk. Yeah. It's a big risk.
I agree, and it's also exposing the lack of integrity in our own political, economic, and judicial systems, criminal justice systems, that if you're rich and white, you can pretty much do anything and never see the inside of a jail cell. Whereas if you're poor and black, the smallest transgression and you're going to be in jail for a long, long time. And I think everybody knows this, but it's a really bad look. Trump needs to go to jail.
It ties into your inequality talk and how that leads to crime and whatever. I've been screaming that to my wife, and she tells me not to, but for years that the problems of more crime, more problems is like inequality. If more people have more stuff, then fewer people, statistically, not everybody, but fewer people are going to rob and crime and murder and stuff like that. So, and it's so clear. Like the solutions are decades long, though. Ruined starting with Reagan, maybe before that. But
I remember I remember the '70s in Lansing, Michigan, which was a GM Fisher Body town, right? The two big factories, and when those factories are running full tilt, and all of the other businesses that supported them, like the tool and die shop where my dad worked, there was a poor part of Lansing, but it was doing pretty good. I mean, the crime rate was not all that high, and because people had jobs. Most people had jobs. There were a lot of people working in those factories. And then when, NAFTA came along and, in the 90s and so much of that manufacturing went overseas, went to Mexico mostly, and, that just wiped out Detroit, but it also wiped out Lansing. And those same communities with the same people in them are suddenly, filled with crime. Why? Because people don't have a job. They've got nothing to do. They're seeing.
They have less to lose.
Yeah, they're seeing the rich, getting richer and richer and richer, and they realize that they're getting screwed by the very thing that's making the rich richer. You know, I mean, the Walton family is the richest family in the world right now, the Walmart, heirs. So, yeah, people get it. It's not a good thing.